At the start of the movie, we see kamikaze pilot Koichi Shikishima land his plane on Odo Island. It's the year 1945 and World War II is in its final days, and a mechanic named Tachibana checks the plane. Tachibana goes to meet Shikishima and says he found nothing wrong with the plane and it is perfectly fine. Shikishima gets angry and leaves from there, and Tachibana says he knows that Shikishima is scared to fight in war. Kamikaze pilots are known as pilots who sacrifice their life along with the plane to destroy enemies. Shikishima notices some dead fish in the water and looks surprised at seeing them. Later at night, suddenly the alarm rings and everyone at the camp feels the enemy has attacked them. They check with light and see a dinosaur-like creature named Godzilla has attacked them. Godzilla starts destroying everything and the soldiers get scared and hide in nearby bunker. One of the soldiers tells Shikishima to use his plane gun to attack Godzilla and kill him. Shikishima gets in his plane but gets scared on seeing Godzilla and cannot bring himself to shoot the monster. Godzilla attacks the soldiers and starts killing them one by one and even destroys Shikishima's plane. Shikishima is thrown away by the explosion and gets unconscious and wakes up the next morning. He finds that Tachibana is the only other survivor and all others are killed. Tachibana blames Shikishima for failing to act and tells he is responsible for these killings. On his way back home on a boat, Tachibana gives something to Shikishima, who gets scared and keeps it in his pocket. Shikishima returns home to find his home has been destroyed and his parents were killed in the bombing of Tokyo. He meets his neighbor Sumiko, who calls him a coward from running away from battle. She tells him everyone, included her children, are dead because he didn't complete his job. One day in the market, while having food, Shikishima meets a woman named Noriko who gives him a baby and runs from there. Noriko is being chased by some people and it seems she's stolen some food from them. Shikishima tries to leave the baby in the market, but is not able to do so and decides to take her with him. On his way, he meets Noriko, who is hiding nearby, and she takes the baby from Shikishima. Noriko follows Shikishima home, who lets her cook some food and asks her about her husband. Noriko says the child named Akiko does not belong to her, and she found her abandoned. She decided to take care of her since she had also lost her parents in the bombing and now is alone. Shikishima is surprised to know that Noriko is taking care of an unknown child by herself and even tells her about his parents. Noriko decides to stay the night with Akiko and sleeps away in Shikishima's house. In the morning, Sumiko asks Shikishima about the girl and child and is surprised to learn the truth. She helps them to feed the baby and even teaches them how to feed her and gives them a bag of her own rice. It is the year 1946 and Noriko and Akiko have started living with Shikishima at his house. Shikishima has found a new job which is government approved, but it is a bit dangerous. He gets the job on a ship to look for and destroy bombs which were left behind from World War II. Noriko is worried, but Shikishima says the money is good and they need it for food and Akiko. Next day, Shikishima goes to his boat and meets Noda, who is a weapons expert who explains the job. He says they have to look for magnetic bombs in the water and uses the wood boat since wood is safe from magnets. Shikishima also meets the ship Captain Akitsu and Mizushima, who welcome him. Shikishima starts his job where they go in water and free the bombs to float up and destroy it with the gun. At nights, Shikishima still has dreams of Odo Island where his team is being killed because of his guilt. In July 1946, many nuclear bombs are exploded in the sea by United States Army. Time passes on and Shikishima is working on the boat and living happily with Noriko and Akiko, who is growing big now. One day, Noda and others come to have dinner at Shikishima's place and come to know about Noriko and Akiko. Akiko calls Shikishima her father, but Shikishima tells her not to do so. Noda and others tell Shikishima to marry Noriko and accept the child as his own. Shikishima says he cannot do so and tells them not to say such things, and Noriko hears this from the kitchen. Next day, Noriko says she has decided to work in Ginza district as she needs to take care of herself. Shikishima is surprised to hear this, but Noriko says he should worry this much for his future wife and not her. Noriko says Sumiko has agreed that she will take care of Akiko during the day. Japan government receives a message from America that they are detected Godzilla moving towards Japan. They say Godzilla has destroyed many ships and they cannot send any help because of tensions with Soviet Union. They ask Japan to strengthen their armies and prepare for battle against Godzilla. We see the year is 1947 and Noda and his team have come to inspect a ship which has recently attacked. Shikishima sees dead fish in the sea and says this is the work of Godzilla and tells everyone about Odo Island. He says based on the size of ship, Godzilla must have grown big and powerful now. Noda says they have sent here to keep Godzilla busy till the big destroyer ship named Takao comes from Singapore. Noda says they have to use the bombs from the ocean and keep Godzilla distracted and away from land. Suddenly Shikishima notices some movement in water and tells everyone they should head back. Akitsu says they have to stay here and stop Godzilla since Tokyo is nearby and Godzilla can go there. Suddenly Godzilla attacks a nearby ship and Shikishima and others decide to run from there. Godzilla comes after them and they try to stop him with a bomb but nothing happens. They release another bomb but Godzilla cuts its string of the bomb with his mouth. Shikishima uses his gun to detonate the bomb in Godzilla's mouth and injures him badly, but Godzilla's mouth regenerates. Everyone is surprised to see this, and suddenly Godzilla is attacked by Takao's ship which fires its weapons. It hits Godzilla which gets angry and goes to ship and starts attacking it. Godzilla uses his heat ray and completely destroys the ship and Shikishima and others are shocked to see this. Later, when Shikishima is recovering in the hospital, he comes to know that the government has decided not to talk about the attack. Noda says the government does not want to inform the public about Godzilla as it will result in panic. At night, Shikishima tells Noriko about his past and shows he got photos of the victims from Tachibana on the boat. He says he is a coward who ran away from war and starts crying in guilt. Shikishima says he should have died on Odo Island and everything else feels like a dream to him. Noriko comforts him and tells him not to think much about the past. Few days later, another ship spots Godzilla in water and come to know it is heading towards land. An emergency broadcast of radio warns everyone to evacuate the city of Ginza. Shikishima also hears this and gets worried since Noriko works in Ginza. Godzilla arrives in the city and starts destroying and killing everyone. Noriko is returning back home in a train and Godzilla attacks the train and starts destroying it. Noriko jumps in the water and saves herself and Godzilla starts destroying buildings. When Godzilla is about to kill Noriko, Shikishima comes there and saves her from getting crushed. The army tanks start attacking Godzilla, which makes him very angry, and he decides to attack them. Godzilla powers up and we see a blue light coming from his body and he uses his heat ray. The attack destroys the tanks and obliterates many buildings and kills thousands of people. Noriko pushes Shikishima to safety, but is caught in the blast and is killed. Shikishima is devastated on seeing the destruction and Noriko die and vows revenge against Godzilla. We see the news where more than 30,000 people have died and the area is covered in radioactive energy because of the attack. Later, Noda meets Shikishima at his home and tells that all citizens of the city are planning a secret attack on Godzilla. Shikishima goes to the meeting where he sees many people are ex-army men who have joined the fight. An army officer comes and tells they have a plan to kill Godzilla and says Noda has come with a strategy. Noda says Godzilla cannot be destroyed with normal weapons since it can heal itself. He says to destroy Godzilla, they will lure him to Sagami Bay and surround it with Freon tanks. The tanks will be attached to Godzilla and bubbles from the tanks will explode and lower the water's buoyancy. This will cause Godzilla to sink down very fast, and the resultant water pressure will crush Godzilla. He says that Sagami Bay is 1,500 meters deep and this much pressure can kill any sea creature. Noda says since Godzilla is an unknown creature and explains his plan to everyone. He says 2 ships will surround Godzilla and release the tanks on him to drown and kill it. If this doesn't work, he has an alternate plan to kill Godzilla. Noda says he will use balloons which will be inflated under Godzilla to force it back up, killing it through explosive decompression. Noda says this is the best plan they have, and everyone including Shikishima agree to follow the plan and fight back. Later, while having dinner, Noda says that Godzilla has marked Tokyo as his own territory and he will return in 10 days. He says he will use speakers to play Godzilla's voice to lure him towards Noda. Godzilla will think it's another dinosaur going in his territory and get caught in the trap. Shikishima says he needs a plane so that he can also help to lure Godzilla towards Sagami Bay. Akitsu says Shikishima is risking his life, but Shikishima says his war is not over yet. Next day, Shikishima goes to inspect the plane and finds it well built and strong but needs some repairs. Noda says they need a top mechanic, and Shikishima says that Tachibana will be perfect for this job. Shikishima goes to post office to know Tachibana's last no address and writes him many letters. Few days later, Shikishima is attacked by Tachibana, who hits him and captures him. We come to know that Shikishima wrote false information in letters and blamed Tachibana for Odo Island massacre. He knew Tachibana would get angry and find him, and Shikishima tells about his plan to kill Godzilla. He says he needs to repair the plane so he can fly in the mouth of Godzilla with explosives and kill him. Tachibana agrees, and next day, he comes to inspect the plane and starts working on it. Few days later, Noda receives a message and informs his team that Godzilla is reaching Tokyo sooner than expected. He says Godzilla will be arriving the next day at 11 and tells everyone to spend the night with their families and be prepared. He says that in this war they will not lose any soldiers and win it at all costs. Shikishima thanks Sumiko for taking care of Akiko and at night leaves an envelope by her side before leaving for his mission. Shikishima comes to take the plane and Tachibana tells him they have installed all the bombs on it as requested. He also shows Shikishima the button to pull for activating the bomb and tells him something. Sumiko finds Akiko alone in the morning and opens the envelope in her hand. She finds a letter where Shikishima has asked her to take care of Akiko and has left some money also. Later, the soldiers on the boat notice some movement in water and inform Noda about it. They come to know Godzilla is coming and start preparing to execute their plan. They see Godzilla has already arrived and it even throws a ship and destroys it. Godzilla has come early and Shikishima leaves in his plane to go towards him. Godzilla starts moving towards the city and Noda says Shikishima will have to lure him towards Sagami Bay. Shikishima starts moving towards Godzilla and informs Noda about his position. Sumiko receives a letter and is surprised to read it. Godzilla starts destroying the city and Shikishima fires at him to distract him, and Godzilla starts following Shikishima. Noda and his team see Godzilla coming and ready their ships to launch their attack. Godzilla powers up and fires a powerful attack towards a ship and destroys it. The other ships start moving towards Godzilla and launch the Furin tanks in the water. They circle around Godzilla and Shikishima keeps him distracted by firing at him. The Furin tanks get attached to Godzilla and Noda instructs to hit the switch at the right time. The tanks explode and pull Godzilla rapidly down to the bottom of the ocean with it. Godzilla sinks to more than 1,500 meters in the ocean, but isn't killed. Noda sees Godzilla is still alive and moves to Plan B, where he inflates the balloon attached to the tanks. The balloon float starts pushing Godzilla to the surface rapidly, but Godzilla cuts the balloon and frees himself. Noda and others decide to pull Godzilla up with the help of their cranes and start pulling it up. Godzilla's weight is too much and the cranes break and fall in the water. Mizushima arrives with many other boats and they offer help to pull Godzilla. They tie their ships to the big ship with ropes and start pulling Godzilla up. Godzilla rises up and he is not dead but looks injured and he powers up to attack the ships. Suddenly, everyone sees Shikishima files towards Godzilla to kill him, and Shikishima takes his plane in Godzilla's mouth. He pulls the switch, and the bomb explodes in Godzilla's mouth. Everyone sees Shikishima is still alive because Tachibana had installed an ejection seat in the plane. They see Godzilla's head is destroyed and the energy of its heat ray tear his body apart. Everyone gets a hero's welcome when they arrive in the city. Sumiko meets Shikishima, who gives him the letter, who is shocked to read it. Shikishima goes to a hospital with Akiko and finds Noriko, who is still alive. He cries happily and hugs her, and we see a black mark creeping up her neck. Meanwhile, a chunk of Godzilla's body sinks into the ocean and begins to glow and morph.